Hi guys, it's the Fibromyalgia Warrior here, and you will notice above me and behind me a Marvel poster, and that is because I'm making this video today in my son's room. My husband, well, it's Monday, so our bedroom is where my husband has his home office set up, and as it's Monday, he's working, so he's in there. So I'm making this video from here today. So if you guys have gone and checked out either of my previous two videos, you'll know that I am going through and making short videos about all the different conditions I live with besides just fibromyalgia. And I don't know, I guess the reason I kind of decided to do that was, one, I have quite a few, and I have noticed that many of us who have fibromyalgia have other things that we live with as well. So if you guys want to go check them out, I talk about how I live with food addiction and disordered eating. I'm in recovery, but again, it's something that I have to work with daily. I also talked about anxiety, and just to put it out there, anxiety is a driver that can cause all sorts of things to flare up. Okay, it can cause, um, well, anxiety will cause me to start wanting to eat those foods that I know are bad for me, but that will cause addiction, or that will cause me to eat those foods that I shouldn't, and then I get that whole cycle of, oh, what did I just do? How do I get through this? How am I going to make it compensate? Like, what have I done? How do I fix it? All those thoughts, okay? But anxiety is also a really key factor in the next thing I'm going to talk about. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about what it's like to have IBS. Um, for those who don't know, that means Irritable Bowel Syndrome, or as I like to call it, irritated and bloated syndrome, because when you have this condition, lots of triggers can irritate your gut and cause massive bloating, as well as, in my case, severe constipation. Some people get severe diarrhea. Some people get a mix of both. And it also is not only just caused by anxiety, but of course, lots of foods are common triggers. So for me, I was told back in 2007 that I have IBS. And there were certain foods that I was told to try to avoid, but I wasn't told to eliminate necessarily. And just for me personally, I'm just going to put out there that there are some foods that, if you know for yourself that you feel bad after you eat, and you know you have IBS, you'll be probably advised to either avoid or reduce your diet, your dairy, avoid soy in most cases, unless you're allergic to dairy and you're trying to find something else to drink that isn't going to cause the same gut problems. You're going to be obviously probably advised to try to de-stress, try to not be anxious, try to not worry, however you want to describe it, all of that and above, right? Now, a lot of other foods, the medical professionals will usually say things like avoid really spicy food, avoid any vegetables or anything that's known to cause gas, like mushrooms, broccoli, cauliflower, onions, garlic, that type of thing, as well as any spicy food, anything that's greasy or fried. Reduce that or cut it out. And then certain things, like some people can't have cheese, they can't have chocolate, they can't have caffeine, because those are triggers for them. Not everyone, but a lot of people. So, over the years, I have been better and worse at managing my symptoms with the food side of things. Well, actually, I've been always had a hard time with managing my anxiety. And And that's still a challenge for me today, but I am, as I've shared in my previous video, I am doing a lot more praying. I'm doing a lot more things to try to calm myself, breathing exercises, whatever it is, reading, binge reading something on my Kindle, binge watching something on Netflix, just listening to some really nice um, instrumental music or whatever I have saved on my playlists, whatever it might be, right? Whatever works. But it's really hard sometimes if someone says to you, well, you got to just not be so stressed. It's easy for someone to say it. It's a lot harder to actually do it. So if you're not quite there yet, I understand. And sometimes just trying to figure out how to reduce stress, especially right now, not easy. And that can cause even more stress and more anxiety. And that gets your cortisol like skyrocketing, not just going up to the roof, if you will, but breaking through it. Your adrenals work overtime, and that's it. You're done. That will affect your metabolism and your gut health and everything else. Now, there is somebody who is absolutely brilliant when it comes to talking about healing your gut, and her name is Judy Cho, and you can find her on YouTube at Nutrition with Judy. She's got some really great videos and advice. I'll make sure to put her info down below, and she's also on Instagram at Nutrition with Judy, so please check her out. She's great. If you have IBS and it's confirmed, or you have other gut health problems, her advice is fantastic. Okay, but for me, it wasn't until May this year when I was 173 pounds. Okay, so 50 pounds overweight. I'm about 123 now. I'm only 5'5". I'm 48. I'm at a healthy, ideal weight for my age and my frame and everything else. Okay, but I had packed on 50 pounds. A lot of that, yes, a fair amount was inflammation, as well as bloating and just misery and inflammation, that not only in my gut, but that was also causing my fibromyalgia to flare up and cause inflammation in all my soft tissue. It caused my arthritis to flare up, all kinds of things. Okay, so anxiety is a big pusher of affecting your IBS. But what I've learned is that, for me at least, one of the things I was advised, if for people with IBS, was increase your fiber, eat more soluble fiber in like fruits and veg, eat plain white rice, eat plain white pasta, eat white bread. That will help during a flare up. And in fact, that was probably the worst advice I was ever given, because it didn't account for the fact that I have gluten intolerance, I have lactose intolerance, I have processed carbs and intolerance, along with fructose and carbs and starches in general. My body just can't tolerate it. So you might actually have to do a full elimination diet and see what stuff triggers. The only thing I would say to that is, if you have IBS and you do have to do that, is give it at least a couple of weeks before you decide, or before you can determine if something has affected you or not. Now, some stuff you'll react right away, but like eliminate it for at least 2 weeks. Don't just, I did it for like a day or two and I couldn't tell any different, because there were so many other things I was eating that were causing my guts to be very unhappy, that I had no idea what was happening. So I gave up, say, raspberries, but I was still eating strawberries and blueberries and peaches and plums and apples, like very high fructose fruits. So, sometimes that's what you have to do, is you really have to cut stuff out, because that can also be a factor in not only your bowels, but other conditions you might be living with. So I know it's a really kind of a short one today, but I just wanted to sort of highlight that. There's, like I said, check out Judy. She's brilliant. She's a nutritionist, hence why she goes by Nutrition with Judy. Um, and she's got some great information on how to heal your gut. You know, some people who have leaky gut tend to develop IBS, which, with all the garbage I was constantly putting into my body, because I liked how it tasted. You know, ice cream. I'm lactose intolerant, but I was eating so much ice cream. I was drinking so much milk, especially when I was pregnant. With both my during both my pregnancies, I was eating things like baked potatoes slapped in margarine. I cringe now, but you know, we don't know sometimes that what we're having is bad for us, or we think it's something else. So, if you've been told you have IBS, um, you may want to look at getting tested for food sensitivities, which I get is a harder thing to do. But for me, at least, because, you know, for example, I knew that I had an issue with gluten. I got tested to see if maybe I was borderline celiac because I have some extended family members who are. And it turns out I'm not allergic. But what they didn't test for was non celiac sensitivity. And I was told, well, since you're not allergic, your best bet is to just keep eating gluten and then you'll develop a tolerance, which honestly is the worst advice you can give somebody who is clearly having issues with gluten, right? So this whole increase your fiber, decrease your fiber, no, please don't do that, because you will honestly cause more harm than any good. Okay, at least in my experience personally, because I tried that, you know, got rid of everything that I possibly could that was causing me upset, um, so that now my guts are starting to heal and my IBS symptoms are dormant. They would if I was to eat any sort of lentils or legumes or pulses, any grains, any cereals, any gluten, anything like that. If I was to eat any of that today, my IBS would be back in full force. But when I avoid all that stuff, all the fructose and all the starches and carbs, be they processed or otherwise, my tummy is a much happier uh, organ, and my guts are much more thankful as well. So, anyways, guys, as I said, I will put Judy's details down in the description box below. I hope you like this. I hope it helps, whether it's for you or someone you might know. Um, yeah. So if you liked it, please, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up if you liked it. It'd be great if you join the group, if you want to subscribe, but pass it on if you know anybody who might get something from this. All right. Thanks, guys.